clouds are not just like they are in the picture. But there you have them. They actually come over this way a little bit more. We can put them in there like that. So we got the land. Notice I shoved it way down here to like a fifth or sixth of the horizons down here. So you can see how much sky we've got. So this picture is really about the clouds and the sky. So get you a couple of paper towels handy. I've got them all tore off right here. Okay. So what I want to do now is I'll show you my value study that I've done thus far. Basically the same drawing. You see the land way down here. Everything that is everything that is not the lightest area, like the wheat field back here, you can see it, and this grassy area here, I'm leaving that light. So the sky and trees and the bean field, this is the bean field here, are middle value now, and I'm going to come back in and put a darker value in a little bit. But I'm going to use this right now for my kind of my guide. Tell you, it really helps you research your painting, and by that I mean when you go through doing a value study, you end up seeing so much more that is there than if you're just looking at the photograph. And so we just want to, it's always a good idea to do a value study. You don't have to every time. Sometimes it's it's a simple enough image, but it'll never hurt you to do a value study. So now what I want to do is mix up some of the sky color, and I'm going to lay that in real rich and deep up here down to here, bring it around, dilute it down some so I can get some soft edges here, and then we will I'll just carry that on down and then transition to the earthy colors that are down here. So very good. Let me take and clean up this Payne's gray that I've got here. I've got Payne's gray, French ultramarine blue, cobalt blue, cerulean, cobalt teal, neutral tint, quinacridone burnt orange, which is copper kettle from American Journey, raw sienna, quinacridone gold, lemon yellow. That is permanent alizarin crimson, opera, cad red, light, I think, and then lavender there. I'm going to grab a brush here and I'm going to wet my sky up here, everything but these white clouds. I just want to get this nice and damp so that the colors will spread out for me. Coming down here to these clouds, taking no time. By doing the value study, I did a quick run through with just one color monochromatic, and that helps me to understand then how I want to handle the sky a little bit. You can make your mistakes there. If you're going to make mistakes, maybe you won't. Okay, so we get down here. Sponge or a bigger brush speeds this up, but this is okay. You gotta be flexible. Things don't always work out the way you anticipate they will. Okay, I'm gonna kind of look it over. Well, I'd like to have a gloss on all of it. Then I know it's plenty wet. And it also, if you look at it at an angle, you can see that it's, if you've missed areas. Okay, now right here we got pretty big puddles that have developed, so I'm just going to blot them up real quick. Okay. All right. So let's just dive in here and looking at the photograph here. It's cobalt blue. Looks like pretty heavy cobalt blue. You could use a mop brush for this, a flat brush like what I've got right here. You don't necessarily, there's no right or wrong. You can use this brush here. He'd work pretty good. You can use a bigger brush. I'd always encourage you to use a larger brush than a smaller one. All right, so let's go with cobalt blue right across here. You can see how it's spreading out. My brush is pretty wet, maybe a little wetter than I'd like for it to be. Add a little more pigment into the water that I've got here. There we go. That's getting this a little deeper in value. Lay this in here nice. Because it's nice and wet, you get a nice flow there. I've got my board on just a little bit of an angle, my watercolor block, if you will. Rinse my brush out. Now I want to shift gears to a little cerulean in here now, just to bring some variety into that sky. On the screen here, at least my screen, it doesn't look like there's a lot of difference in there, but there is. All right, and I'm just going to start right up in here with some of that cerulean. Because that's wet, that should just start flowing on down. Helping guide down in there. Another big blob right there. All right. Let me bring in a little bit of alizarin crimson into this. Kind of deepen this up a little bit, purplize it a little. Go right up here, top. Try to intensify that color of that sky. I need to get some nice contrast down here as I work my way down. It's working. Alright, so now I want to take a look at my clouds here. Looks like I actually have some pink in them and stuff. Right now they're white on my painting, but that's okay. I can come back in here in maybe just a little bit. It's more dark over here. If I can come back in just a little bit and get them filled out the way I want them. A little more cobalt blue. Keep her nice and fluid. It's still pretty wet. it's drying on me. If I'm going to get this down to the where the tree line is here. Get that bead of water at the bottom. Okay, set that down. I'm going to grab a different brush here. Grab this brush. I'm just going to come in and do a little bit of touch up here. Soften this edge. Rinse my brush out. Just kind of break this edge down just a little bit. I'm going to throw a little bit of that alizarin crimson in here. And I want to bring some of this up. A little bit of cobalt blue. I'm losing my moisture right here. Very tricky. I'll work this fast. Right now I'm just bringing more moisture into it so it'll keep moving around. Throw a little bit of kind of a violet, this alizarin with the blue up in there. Knock that edge down there a little bit. That little dab of blue, there's like hair or something there. Just put a little bit of cobalt over here. And then we got this guy over here to finish up. And let's keep it uniform. Let's throw a little bit of the violet in there. And now I want to take and pull a little bit deeper color down here. Well, this is still wet. I'm going to put a little bit of quinacridone in there. maybe a little cobalt teal. Let's see what that does for. That gets me where I want it to be. Yeah, I think I can live with that. Keeping in mind this is going to dry a lot lighter than you see it while it's wet. So I gotta try to shoot for that right balance of pigment in here, moisture. I'm still throwing in some cobalt in here, just try to green this up a little bit. Okay, now there are some wispy colors up in the sky. I'm going to try something here. This may be a huge mistake, but we'll find out. Just taking the edge of my watered up paper towel here. And this is just about dry, so it's actually coming off pretty easy. See, up there is too dry. Over here is probably too dry, but that's okay. That sky's moving all the time anyway. So now then we're going to get down in here and lift out little fragments of it. You just barely see clouds underneath there. I don't want to pull up too much, so I'm just barely tapping the paper with this. Just want it to kind of look like those clouds are going. You know, there's evidence of them, but they're way back. It's very misty, very hazy, so they don't show up very well. Okay, I'm going to call that good. Now I want to get some of this other color in here. Okay, so what do we want to do here? I think what I really want is to get some yellow in here. I want this to be pretty wet. The blue, if I'm playing my cards right, will bleed down in, give me some green effects in there. Gray it down a little bit. That'll be the wheat. Let's put a little bit of raw sienna in that. Bring that up into there. That yellow with that blue gives a nice contrast. Where those roofs are, just going to try to leave them white. Not sure what I want to do there, but we'll do something. Okay. White there. Push that up a little bit so you can see all of that. So you can see we're getting nice contrast going on there. And take a little bit more of that yellow, lemon yellow, with some green there, or some blue, cerulean blue. But actually, I think it was a little cobalt I got in there. But anyway, I got all kinds of colors in my palette here, so I'm going to put the bean field in. The bean field, put it in light, but it's kind of a blue-green. If you're not from farm country, you probably don't realize that. But bean fields are usually got a lot of blue in them. Okay, now let's just pop a little bit of this green in here. Just kind of getting the feel. And I realize on the screen, or at least my screen, it doesn't look very green, which it's not real green, but it's greener than what I'm seeing on my screen. But that may just be my monitor. I don't know. Mixed a little red in the green, so it kind of knocks it down a little bit. Bring that down like so. If it bleeds a little, don't panic. Okay, so there is, tilt that up for you a little bit there. You can see how much moisture I've got right in here. It's really glossy right there. But that's okay. Keep it tipping down. Almost wish I had darker sky up there, and I could come in and rework that, but I may not. One of my flaws is I tend to go a little too deep. I can't shut it down too deep in hue and value. So I'm trying to make myself do that. But anyway, so we got nice colors happening here. Going to let it dry, and then we'll come back and put the next layer in. It's going to be deeper values. But notice see if I bring this up to you. If the camera picks it up, you maybe see some violet or pinkish colors in there, like right here, right over there. That's that little bit of alizarin crimson interacting with the blue. So, all right, let's let this dry, and then we will come back and work on it some more. All right, we are back and ready to start in with the next step in this painting. This is fairly simple painting here. You got step one, and then for probably just step two, we'll be putting the darks in the trees, and then we'll be done. So this is a good one to learn on. It's a little challenging up here getting the cloud shapes and stuff, but I definitely recommend you give it a try. So if we look over here, I've got some cerulean blue out. Clean my brush, and I'm going to mix my green here. So I'm going to again make sure the brush is good and clean, and then get in here and pull out a little lemon yellow and see what we get, which is a little too green for my liking, my taste. Looking at my photograph here, I'm going to go in and get a little bit of alizarin crimson there, not much, but that'll cut this green and kind of neutralize it, make it more of a, which that looks pretty gray actually, but it's green in reality. Let me grab a little more cerulean here, and maybe just a touch of quinacridone gold. There we go. There's all kinds of ways of mixing summer greens. And you just saw what I've done here. I pulled some cerulean, some lemon yellow, a little alizarin crimson, a little more cerulean, then a little bit of the quinacridone gold in there, and that gives you what I've got here, which is just kind of an earthy green, olive drab green. But hold on a second, I'll get something for you. So I keep a stack of blank cards just to try my paint on. This is watercolors that did not make the final cut. They got destroyed. So use the back side of it, and you can try out your color here. You can see it's a little greener than what it appears in the screen. Actually, it's really a pretty nice green. What's on my picture on my computer has a little bluer. We're here in the Midwest, and so trees tend to have that bluish cast to them I think from the humidity in the air and stuff. This right here is not gray like it's showing up, at least it's showing up on my computer as gray. That's very much green. Let me see if I can adjust my color here. See what this does. For some reason it doesn't want to pick that up. But anyway, you'll have to take my word for it. It's a kind of a bluish green. Another thing you can do, I'll show you this real quick. That's Payne's gray. Let me get some neutral tint. You can take a black or a neutral tint, which we don't use black in watercolor very much, but neutral tint is kind of the same thing. Add some lemon yellow to it, and you get a summer green. See that? Now, you can also take and add like a little cobalt blue to it. And it puts a little bluish cast to it. Let me moisten that a little bit more. Rinse that brush, get a little more lemon yellow here. And then we get another kind of a summery green there. So don't go on what you see here. Again, these are nice olivey colors. Try it in your studio. Just get this color, neutral tint, lemon yellow, and cobalt blue, and play around with that. Add a little more yellow, a little more blue, and you'll get a variety of greenish colors. You can try other yellows like quinacridone gold, or you can switch up the blues, put a little cobalt teal or a little ultramarine in there, and just experiment with it. Make your little color swatches, and you'll get a greater understanding of mixing greens. So, okay, so I've got, as I just showed you, I've got a couple of different greens going on here on my palette. So I'm just going to come in and go all the way across, connecting the shapes. Excuse me, I'm got a little tongue-tied. Connecting the shapes of the trees. They come across here, but they change colors. So we'll probably throw a little yellow in here and there, and maybe a little darker where I need, or maybe a little blue in the farther distance. So let's get started with this. I'll start over here on this. Get a little more blue in that. A little more blue. All right, so I'm going to start right over here. Plenty of moisture in there. You want to keep that moisture prevalent in there so that you can drop colors in here after a little bit as you do this. Okay, and this is a grassy field here. I'm just going to come down and try to give a rough edge at the bottom of that. Okay, now get some more blue. And over here, these appear to be a little darker, and a little bluer. So I'm just going to throw a little bit in there, kind of create some interest. Leave that tree a little bit lighter, maybe. Again, getting more pigment and variety of pigment on there. Trying to get a little ragged edge along that field there. Again, take my word for it, that's green, it is not blue. I'll post the finished painting, you'll be able to see what I'm talking about. And we get some more lemon yellow here and drop this in, just kind of let it variegate in there. These trees that are closer appear to be more of a yellow cast. I don't know if it's because they're a different kind of tree or if the distance is doing something to it. Get a little bit of this Quin Gold going here. And drop that in, that'll warm it up just a little bit. Here, so we get a little bit of color variety going in there too. Variety is the spice of life, they say. And they certainly don't have to be exactly like what's on the screen. Matter of fact, if you can get them exactly like what's on the screen, you probably work too hard at it. The nice point on this brush, this is a Princeton Velvet Touch number 14. Boy, it's got a real needle nose on it. And that's a pretty nice little thing to have. Remember, connect all these greens together. Connect them all. Throw a little blue and neutral tint in there, just for a nice dark. Which that looks pretty dark, but it'll lighten up. And come over here and drink up these little puddles that are building at the bottom. Throw them in there. Here's the bean field there. A little bit of blue. Bean fields are Southern Illinois are blue. Okay. Keep bringing this on across. There's a tree. Finish him out. Bean field right there. Bring this across. We got a power pole right here, and we can try something. Try to paint right, negative paint right up to him, and then skip him. It's not too bad. Pretty good idea right there. I don't like this big gap right here, so I'm going to shorten that down a little bit. Go like that. There we go. And actually, there is a hill here that kind of rises in the distance. You can keep it straight if you want, or you can add that hill in there. It's up to you. Throw a little more of that blue in there. That'll mix and mingle. And by the time you're done painting all this and it's drying, it'll lighten up and it'll blend together and it'll give you a nice green. Yeah, that's working good. Another pole over here, so we're going to try that same trick again. It worked pretty good for me last time. There we go, we're getting right across there. Now I'm going to get this bean field, get that green going in there. Trying to break up that edge. I don't want it too harsh. I have to do something with this yellow down in here, but we'll do something with it. Just quickly brush that in, leave some of those little sparkly spots to show interest in there. Just so it's not all the same green, I'm going to grab some neutral, not neutral tint, but some quinacridone gold and slap in there. Just to add a little bit of interest to it. Again, it's kind of a bluish green. It's not showing up that way on yours, but I apologize for that. But that's how the cookie crumbles. Like I said, I'll post the final painting. Put it in here so that you can see it. Okay, we got a kind of road right there, maybe. That's what that is. And the reason I'm thinking that is because we got these houses over here, so they got to have a way to get there. That's a couple lines down there to suggest the power poles. Right there. Trees, more of them. A little bit of black, or not black, but neutral tint. Again, that will float around and change colors. Some blue in there. Makes for a nice color. You know, I just periodically look at my other monitor over here where I've got the photograph that I'm working from. Yeah, this is I like what's happening here. I like what's happening here quite a bit. Just a couple roof lines in there. Suggest a building. Don't know if it's a house or a barn or shed, what it is, but it works pretty good. And now there seems to be little bits of growth. I don't know, weeds, or could be some distant fence posts sticking up, but we'll give a little bit of character to that. There we go. Like that. I like that. That looks pretty good. A little yellower than I want right there, but nothing I can do about that right now. So what I do want to do then is just kind of take this quinacridone gold, gray it down with a little bit of this neutral tint here, and just try to make a. If you look here in my value study, you can see that I've just made some marks here. Just kind of break that little yellow shape up just a little bit. Maybe a little darker than that. Not much, but a little bit. A little more quinacridone gold, kind of get us some color going in there. You just want to create a little interest down there. People don't have to know exactly what it is. Put a little bit of quin gold along the edge of that there, tie it together. And I think we're there. Drop just a little deeper value in there. Oh, again, a little lighten up. Yeah, that works for me. Works great. Works great. All right, so there we are. We've got a nice little painting done here. Really two basic steps. After you sketch it out, remember, sketch the clouds lightly. And then come in with a pretty rich value blue up there, cobalt blue there, and I think I threw a little bit of cerulean in, a little bit of alizarin crimson in there, just a little bit. If you look down here, you kind of see the alizarin crimson effect. And then I just took water, very slightly tinted, and pulled a little bit of that up, and then dropped some color in there. Just leave the white at the top. Let that be where the sun is catching it. And then get down here. This is all pretty simple and straightforward. Lemon yellow down there, washed over that, which bled into the blue up here, this blue of the sky. Then I came back in and put some green over it, a variety of greens. Remember, I mixed two different ways, cerulean, lemon yellow, and a little bit of alizarin crimson. And then the other one I showed you was neutral tint with some lemon yellow and a little bit of cobalt blue in this case here. But that gives you two different summery greens. And it's so much better to mix your greens than to buy a tube of sap green or whatever. I love phthalo green. I use that a lot. I just recently changed my color palette a little bit, kicked phthalo green out for a while. I'm not saying I'll never go back to it because it does have its place. But this is you get much greater variety when you throw in other colors into that green. So let me encourage you to give it a whirl. This was a fun one. Hope you enjoyed it, and look forward to seeing you somewhere down the road. All right. Thank you. Bye-bye.